Today on the Topping Show, the comment section without Brett Cooper seems to be recovering. Los Angeles mayor is roasted for her response to the fires and smiling creepily. You also have the Los Angeles Fire Department critiqued for their DEI salaries, one being nearly $400,000 per year. The Ford Mustang has its worst sales ever in 2024. You also have the Subaru bringing back the STI, but it only has 2 pedals. And Benchmade livesharp warranty is not worth its salt as they lose knives. All that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, we're still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have some sad news. The Ford Mustang has their worst sales year ever. So bad, I almost opened my mouth thinking about this or trying to say this. The Mustang E-Mach, the bastardized cousin that has nothing in relation to the real Mustang, they actually had better sales than the Mustang E-Mach, which is unpalatable to say the least. It's quite sad. But let's turn that around by looking at what it is, a pretty good looking Mustang. Not the E-Mach, obviously. Now this comes to us thanks to EnginePatrol.com. Specifically, Ian Sawyer, who's a writer over there, says, quote, "The Ford Mustang just hit a speed bump, its worst sales year ever. The iconic pony car took a 9.5% dive in 2024, trailing far behind the electric sibling, the E-Mach," which, little ADHD, one of my favorite books I'm reading right now is actually by Lee Iacocca, who recently, well, not recently, in our lifetime, he worked at Ford, and then he actually went over to try to turn around Chrysler. When the Mustang first came out, it generated over $1 billion in profits in the 60s. It is one of the best things Ford has done in their history, right up there with the Model T. And it's sad to see it's starting to fall slowly but surely, but hopefully this is just an outlier of a sales year. Now they say, quote, "The sales figures are in. It's tough news for the Ford Mustang. The legendary pony car just saw 44,003 buyers last year, making 2024 officially the worst year in its 60-year history. Adding insult to injury, the Mustang was outsold by over, oh no, it's not just 2 units, it's not 3 units, it's outsold by 7,000 units of its electric cousin, the Mustang Mach-E, a vehicle many pony car purists refuse to acknowledge as a real Mustang." I agree with that assessment. It's not. I mean, they literally just bastardized the name and copied the logo. It's a Mustang in name only. Kind of like the 80s, so the brief era where the EPA really kneecapped the auto companies even more than usual. We just kind of don't think of the dark ages where they had like a V8 with like 12 horsepower. I'm only partially exaggerating, but there were some dark years. Now they say, quote, "This isn't just a bad year, it's part of a troubling trend. Mustang sales have been steadily declining for years after a brief uptick in 2023. The previous low point was 2022 when 47,566 Mustangs were sold. But the final quarter of 2024 revealed just how steep the decline has become, sales dropping a staggering, 43.3% compared to the same time period the year prior, with only 7,518 units sold. To put that in perspective, it's not far off where the Chevy Camaro ended before it discontinued." Now, to Ford's credit, it's sad to say, my family is more a GM family on the assembly lines and the management. I always thought the Camaro was a little bit better looking and handled a little bit better personally, but in terms of who won the pony war, it's safe to say that, Ford won. GM killed the Camaro multiple times throughout its history, and same with Dodge, now Chrysler Stellantis. I'm sorry, this might make your eyes bleed. I'm going to scroll down and you see the Mustang E-Mach, which, yeah. They say, quote, "Meanwhile, the Mach-E is speeding ahead. The electric crossover recorded, 51,745 sales in 2024, with a particularly strong fourth quarter, moving 16,119 units, a 35.6% increase year over year," which I didn't see that coming. granted, there's a big tax incentive for people to buy EVs. Still, there's a debate if Trump will keep that going to 2025 or in 2025. Again, giving $7,500 off a car is a pretty big incentive. And I think that's really propping up a lot of EV sales. Yes, you do have some more consumers switching over to it, but yeah, let's just say I'm still skeptical, to say the least, in terms of long-term viability of the products. And I say, quote, Ford's aggressive pricing and incentives have undoubtedly played a role in boosting the E-Mach sales amid a cooling EV market. Heading into 2025, the Mustang E-Mach starts at $38,490 for the base select trim with rear-wheel drive. For comparison, the gas-powered 2025 Mustang EcoBoost, which is the smallest engine, starts at $33,515, unchanged from the year prior, though the GT has seen a spiking increase, now starting at $47,055, more than $2,600 more than the year prior, which, yeah, let's just say when I was playing with the inflation calculator and looking at kind of the year-over-year increases of price for the Mustang, the real Mustang, clarify there, it's gotten more and more expensive each year. Now, granted, it is so great that Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, is so dedicated to having a V8 and a stick shift and making a sports car. Again, that's become a rarer and rarer thing these days. So I appreciate we still have the option. It's just getting more and more unpalatable when, again, the price point gets pushing up more and more. Some people might call it an apples to oranges comparison. However, unless you're a enthusiast Mustang prospective buyer, you get to a certain price point. Like this says the V8 starting at or the GT Mustang starting at $47,055. I mean, you're not too. I mean, it is a stretch. Don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for a track toy, start looking at maybe a Porsche Cayman. There's a couple other options that start to kind of really pique your interest the more and more you're pushing that price point up. So we'll see. I mean, Jim Farley's still pretty dedicated to the Mustang. I don't think they're going to kill it anytime soon. And again, in 2023 and 2024, especially 2024, we had a rough economy. I mean, talk to any small business owner, most of the companies that my tech company works with, they're saying it's one of the worst years in their history, fiscally speaking, for them. And a lot of people, consumers just don't buy toys when it's hard times. And, someone like me, I would have a Mustang as a daily driver if I, had a little extra jingle in my pocket. I think it could be a daily driver, but I would guess for the average Mustang purchaser, it's usually a second or third car, and in the United States especially, usually daily drive trucks or SUVs or crossovers. So you also have that. And again, you'll have that incentive, at least for the ICE engine, and you have really big interest rates as well. So if you're thinking about buying a toy, well, you don't need, I'm American, so I would say you need a Mustang, but realistically, say you don't need a Mustang. And then you start looking at the financing, because most people do finance their vehicles in America. Well, a 7% interest rate, or sometimes 7, 8, 9% interest rate, depending on your credit, that starts to get pretty unpalatable for, again, for most people, a luxury item. So, it's sad to see the Mustang decrease in sales, the real Mustang, but it is an American icon. I think Jim Farley's pretty dedicated. I'm pretty sure it's safe and secure in its standing in the portfolio of the company. And they also do need to make these EVs because the government's kneecapping them with these, not just the EPA mandates or your fleet mandates for your fuel economy, but also the tailpipe emission standards. You have to have a fleet average for that. Ford almost had to pay $1 billion fine in 2024 because they didn't hit those arbitrary numbers that the government came up with. Hopefully, Trump will fix all that because, again, these types of fun cars are becoming more and more difficult to make from a regulatory perspective. But yeah, anecdotally, I don't know really anyone who bought any new cars in 2024 except for one friend. Now, granted, it's a small sample size, but I do have more than one friend. So let me know in the comments. Do you think is specifically the Mustang? Again, the crossover is increasing in sales somehow. But let me know your thoughts because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, the Subaru WRX STI is back, but it only has 2 pedals, which will be great for all 3 people who want to buy that. Maybe 4. Maybe 5 if someone has like a medical issue with their leg, or they're just dead inside. At least it looks pretty. I'll give Subaru some credit, but yeah, in terms of doing what the customer wants, yeah, I don't think so. Now, this comes to us thanks to motor1.com. There you can see, and again, they got the iconic blue paint on it. Looks pretty good. Now, this is credited to Adrian, who's a writer over there. And they say, quote, the Subaru WRX STI is back, but only with almost threw up in my mouth, a CVT, which is, an abomination of transmissions. They say there are many WRX special editions, but only this one has a full fat STI according to the Subi. It's not perfect though. But yeah, it's perfect for someone who is very mechanically inclined and can do a transmission swap, perhaps. Now, it does look pretty cool. It's got the iconic blue Subaru paint job. Got a nice little spoiler thrown on the back. Got a little red accent on the grille to show that it's a STI. Now, hopefully, we'll dive into the specifics. Hopefully, they actually upgraded the engine as well. One of the most biggest disappointments of the Subaru portfolio is the BRZ, which, granted, that's just a cousin of the Toyota 86, made a collaboration with them. But their STI has no additional horsepower. It does have some better suspension, but traditionally, STI is a lot more horsepower, a lot more fun. Just a little bit more, just good old manly fun. Well, for WRX, the other ones are, who buys those. But nevertheless, they dive into the specifics of the article. They say, quote, nearly 3 years ago, Subaru said that the true STI version of the current WRX would never happen. Yeah, dumb business decision. It didn't explain why, although shortly after the announcement, reports emerged that the stricter emissions regulations killed the performance formula, which, yep, governments they love to kill our fun, it seems. They say fast forward 2025, Subi has a change of heart. At Tokyo Auto Salon, a full-fat WRX STI is on display. The S10 is officially considered a legitimate Subaru international vehicle with a pinnacle. Well, they say, they quote, the pinnacle of the STI complete cars. Based on a JDM spec WRX S4 STI Sport REX, the Japan Special has a 2.4-liter turbocharged gasoline massage more power. Weird grammar. It now makes 296 horsepower and 277 foot-pound of torque, giving it an advantage of 25 more horsepower and 19 foot-pounds of torque over the regular WRX we get in America, which, granted, it's not like you're in a horsepower war. You're never going to win, horsepower comparison with an EV. I think most people have settled on you don't need a million horsepower to have fun. But going from the base model to what's supposed to be the pinnacle and only getting 25 more horsepower, a little disappointing. Though, again, it's better than the BRZ where you get basically no horsepower. You get a couple extra stickers and a little bit better suspension. Now they say, quote, however, an increased output still pales in comparison. The S209 launched in the US in 2019. The meaty 341 horsepower. The higher special edition does have a 6-speed manual transmission, which sadly isn't the case for the S10. It does have something called the it's called the Subaru Performance Transmission, a marketing jargon that tries to make CVTs more exciting. You can't, you won't. The S10 gets an extra oomph from an upgraded exhaust system and different intake ducts. The engineers also tweaked the ECU and Boxer engine, which pumps out more power at 5,700 RPM and peak torque at 2,000 RPM. Elsewhere, it also gets 19-inch BBS forged wheels and 255 35R19 Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, front Brembo brakes, electronically controlled dampers, and a Subaru Performance transmission fluid cooler. We can dive into the engine a little bit here. And again, aesthetically speaking, got a good facelift. And the grille looks a little bit more angular. You still have that massive intake on the hood. Good old signature of the whole brand, I would argue. Probably one of the nicest things is the engine compartment. You actually change your oil filter right there. As opposed to most cars, you have to crawl under it and spend probably about a disproportionate amount of time swearing getting oil on yourself. Now, they say beyond the mechanical changes, the sports sedan also has aerodynamic body kit, a carbon fiber rear spoiler, and black accents. Inside there is a 8-way Recaro carbon bucket seats, red seat belts, plenty of, piano back surfaces, and a serial number plate to remind you it's not a run-of-the-mill WRX, but it's an STI. Which, yeah, but it's also automatic, which, again, some people do prefer. Obviously, there are those people out there. I mostly refer to them as dead inside. But, in all seriousness, for this type of car, I understand you might not want a minivan with a stick shift. I would if I was ever forced to buy a minivan, heaven forbid. But yeah, certain cars they just should have a stick shift. Now, that being said, it looks really good. The seats are definitely, those are pretty bolstered seats. They're going to stay and put when you're on the track going all around. And it looks good. And I say the quote, Subaru is only making 500 of the cars and will open the order numbers this spring. Pricing hasn't been disclosed, but the S10 certainly won't be cheap given its many upgrades and rarity, which, not everything rare is worth something. Every Toyota, this is an example of something that's technically rare because it has 500, it's limited to 500 units, but I can't but think that's probably all they can sell. Because again, someone who wants to get a Subaru, again, the previous generation, the WRX STI, I got to drive one of those things. It is one of the most exhilarating vehicles out there, bar none. It is a blast. I mean, a little bit pricey. That's why I went for the Honda Civic, but and reliability. But it's one of those things where I can't help but think and hope that the overwhelming visceral demand from the customer base for one with a stick shift to make them realize we'll have their engineers do a little bit of magic, make this compliance, maybe get some folks to actually, reach out to the government, tell them to stop kneecapping our best products out there. Especially because again, it's not going to make that much of a difference or delta in terms of the low carbon footprint. Because again, they're not selling a large volume units of their WRX STI. The STI is the most expensive, best trim level. It's the best version of the vehicle. Most people are just going to get the standard edition, but it's almost like they're trying to tease us right now. And maybe many people will push back, very similar to Toyota when the Supra come out. When that was automatic only, that was the number one critique of everyone who reviewed the car. And as soon as they made a manual transmission option, people went and drove to buy those damn things. And now when I go to the track, most of the Subarus you see there, you see a Subaru from time to time, but most of the Toyota Supras that you see, most of them do have 3 pedals. So yeah, again, it looks great. It's got pretty good. It looks like a great. I mean, everything about this screams WRX STI, except only having 2 pedals. So hopefully they listen to the demand, and shoot, if you want to keep the stick shift alive, make sure you go out and buy a new vehicle if you can, physically speaking. Because again, that's how you send a direct message to the manufacturers that there's still demand out there and people will buy them. But let me know in the comments, do you think this will sell well? Do you think maybe most people do want to have only 2 pedals in this particular case? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have the comments section without Brett Cooper, perhaps in recovery, as the losses seem to be not as bad. Or more rather, the rate seems to be decreasing or increasing. Where mathematician numbers, we'll get into the details right now. Now this comes to us thanks to socialblade.com. It looks like we actually did finally upgrade the banner. Yep, so that Brett Cooper is actually not in the background, which was kind of funny for a couple weeks, because again, she was the famous first host she owned the show, Daily Wire does. Just like the Late Show or the Tonight Show, Daily Wire is trying to basically swip the host out, and it was not a very seamless transition, to say the least. Now, she was going through, I mean, when they first replaced her with Reagan, or some people call her Timu Brett, well, Reagan was, still seems to be copying the same mannerisms. We'll examine a video in the comments in a second, but a lot of people didn't appreciate she seemed to be copying Brett and didn't feel as authentic. And a lot of people think that she wasn't loyal to Brett. Maybe she, former bridesmaid, former producer. A lot of people saying she stabbed her in the back. And she was losing between, or the channel was losing between 10 and 30,000 subscribers per day, which is terrible. I mean, I think don't get me wrong, I have my ineptitudes, of course. Not to brag, but I think I only lost 10 subscribers in a single day. So hopefully we won't try to beat that today. But nevertheless, going to socialblade.com, you can look at, she's now down to 4.06 million subscribers, which, again, is still ridiculously successful. It's over 4 million subscribers. It was one of the fastest growing profiles, or rather individual channels, of the Daily Wire's portfolio. It was amazingly successful. But now it looks like, views are down, again, past 30 days, around 69, up now at 69.5%. So the views are continuing to decrease. Now, you look at the rate at which people are leaving, though, that is starting to get a little bit better. So it looks like the record in 1 week was losing 140,000. Oh, wait, no. 180,000 subscribers were lost in 1 week. That was the record number of loss per, record number of loss in a single week for her, if you look at those metrics right there. And now it looks like nearly every other day she's losing about 10,000 subscribers. So January 1st, not really enough. Negligible impact in terms of wasn't enough for them to measure. Then you have January 2nd, 10,000 gone. January 3rd, 10,000 gone. January 4th, nothing. And 5th and 6th, or 5th, 10,000 gone. So again, past couple weeks, it was 10,000 to 20,000 per day. So again, she's still losing, but the frequency is slowly decreasing. It's almost, I would say, an average of 10,000, about 10,000 lost every other day. Now, that being said, in the past 30 days, she's still lost 340,000 subscribers, quite a few to say the least. Now, that being said, I can't but wonder if it's like the Bud Light phenomenon where, again, when that first came out, everyone was subscribed to Bud Light, everyone started roasting the videos. Pretty much every comment on the Bud Light advertising was all negative, all pejorative, all roasting them. And again, there's a lot of material to work with. Now it seems perhaps, There are some allegations that maybe the comment section in the Daily Wire deleting some comments, but now it looks like there are actually some constructive comments brewing to the surface, and they're not just all viscerally roasting the new host, Reagan, or again, as some people call her, Timu Reagan. Now, actually, to prove a point, or we'll dive into the details right now, we'll watch about, listen to about 30 seconds. I'll look at the comments, and I was surprised. Again, there's some negative ones, but prior to this, pretty much every single comment was negative, or at the very least neutral, just saying, what if you act yourself, you'll probably get more, subscribers and more views, instead of trying to copy, again, former host of the show, Brett Cooper. So this is, again, Reagan, the new host of the show, though, again, still the same exact studio, same background. I wonder if that's even the same cup. I think it's the same keyboard and mouse, but nevertheless.
I'm sure by now you have seen the news of Los Angeles, which is currently set ablaze with wildfires that have caused catastrophic damage, but there is so much more to the story than the devastation alone. It's currently being called the costliest disaster in
Ironic, is she talking about the Daily Wire losing subscribers?
U.S. history at a record $135 billion and still growing. So many people lost everything. LA has always held a special place in my heart. I lived in LA back in 2020 and 2020.
So, about 25 seconds in, it's about the same. So her mannerisms, again, well, I was going to say no one's more awkward or terrible on camera than myself, but maybe it's that bad? No, okay, it's not that bad. But in terms of her just trying to mimic Brett, she seems to still be sticking to the same hand gestures, same enunciation and tone, and even the camera angles. Now, granted, that's not her, that's the production team, though she was a former producer on the show. Even they are very reminiscent of, Brett, which again, same studio. They even bothered to move the cameras around. Though, granted, maybe those are just perfect angles to make them look exceptional, maybe. Now, it didn't really go viral. It got about 31,000 views, and interesting enough, did get some likes. It got 2.1 thousand likes, though most of them are, well, let's see here. Now, diving into the actual comments here. Again, it's just not trying to cherry pick them, just picking them in order. And usually it filters them by number of likes or upvotes. Now, one of the first ones comes from Dimwit1000. Says, quote, "Let's take a moment to congratulate Mel Gibson for telling Gavin Newsom to spend less money on hair gel and spending it on the California fire victims." Getting 384 likes. Louis9 says, "And meanwhile, we are forgetting Western North Carolina. What if each California victim only received $700? I got 185 upvotes." Let's see here. We finally have a contrarian. Sorry, we do have a contrarian statement brewing the surface, or critiquing one. We have Beth Joy saying, "A lot of people are upset because Jeremy won't tell us the truth and is hoping we forget." Now, Jeremy is the co-founder and CEO of the Daily Wire. Continue saying, quote, he's showing he does not value his subscribers, and we are the ones paying his bills. That's why so many people are protesting. We should hold corporations accountable." Now, that did get 30 likes. Now, that being said, it would be fascinating to see the revenue breakdown for the Daily Wire. They have their own subscriber feature on their own website. They host their own videos there. Though, again, YouTube revenue is still very much one of their biggest incomes from the company's portfolio or breakdown. We're looking at finances. Can't be too much for sure because it's a private company. You don't know the specifics, but just with interviews with Ben Shapiro when he's gone on podcasts, he's shown that he's claimed that about 30% of the revenue does come directly from YouTube advertisements. So we do have one contrarian statement. They also have Cross Flame said, "Yes, unfortunately, the wildfire are raging just like the comment section. We don't need to discount Brett." Oh, another one brewed the service game 15 likes. Let's see. Creepy Crispy says, quote, 95-year-old dude did more than Gavin Newsom did, getting 87 likes. Going down more and more. You have Snake Eye Sock saying, "Here's the thing, it's political. I'm going to be the preface when I studied wildfires in college, and my family has seen active in firefighting in Southern California for 30 some odd years. I myself not affiliated with the department." Oh, geez Louise. The guy wrote a book, but again, it's not pejoratively about Brett. You also have Raycar saying, quote, "LOL, Daily Wire literally trying to buy bots and give positive comments and likes, getting 65 likes. Shanna says, ironic the title considering the Daily Wire is burning down too, getting 84 likes. Let's see here. Evan says, "Canada has spent several water bombers and helicopters as well as live ground firefighters. There should be no politics during a fire. Save it for the aftermath," getting 65 likes. Oh, some contrarian statements. You have Josh saying, "Am I tripping or do all the comments look like they are edited or cooked up with AI bots or something?" Getting 22 likes. Let's see. A couple more people giving her praise. A lot of people asking where's the new Brett Cooper channel. Doom says, "I miss Brett," getting 151 likes. So again, there are a lot of pejorative, a fair amount of pejorative comments, but it looks like there's positive ones bringing to the surface, so maybe the channel is being turned around, so to say. But let me know, do you think they're actually buying these? Do you think these are bot accounts, or do you think that they're actually going to go through that? Because a lot of channels will probably do that. That's how you know my channel definitely isn't bought and paid for. All the comments are usually roasting me, if not, maybe one or two are positive. But nevertheless, let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. And going over to the political part podcast, you have Los Angeles mayor roasted for her fire response and being utterly creepy. Now this comes straight from the donkey's mouth. This is, again, Mayor Karen Bass. And she says, quote, "I see the devastation firsthand. I'm not sure how she did. Well, she wasn't there in the beginning. She was in Africa. I'm not kidding. She was actually out of the country. Not good optics for politics. Same thing happened to Ted Cruz a couple years ago when he had the Texas ice storm. I believe he was in, what was it, Cancun? So, yeah, definitely not good optics from a political perspective. Yeah. But nevertheless, she says, quote, "These fires cross our region and change lives forever. These days will be challenging, but we will get through the crisis together. Thank you for the first responders who are working day and night, doing everything possible to protect Los Angeles." And without too much further ado, here she is there, looking slightly creepier than usual.
Angelinos, we're still going through it, and to any of you and all of you that have experienced a loss.
Kind of reminds me of Kamala Harris, the creepy ass smile. Even more weirder when, again, this is a devastating topic. I'm not sure, perhaps she's a serial killer.
The grief, the anger, the just utter shock. I've seen the devastation. It is unbelievable the amount of loss that people have experienced. But we have to get through this crisis, and I know that we will. I was at the Sylmar command post today, and I saw the work of our first responders and how they've been able to defeat the fires in certain areas. We know we still have much more to go, and we know the winds are going to kick up again. But we got to stick together. We got to stand strong. And then we have to rebuild our city. We're the nation's second largest city, one of the greatest cities in the world. And we stay together, and we will rebuild an amazing city. So thank you, Angelinos, and my thoughts and prayers are out to all of you that are going through unbelievable loss and pain today. We will get through this. Thank you.
I'm surprised she said thoughts and prayers about burning the flames, which I'm actually surprised she said that, because, again, not to be cliche, but she's a Democrat, and they usually very much critique Republicans when the natural disasters or incidents happen, when traditionally Republicans more religious. Democrats usually worship politicians, but yeah, they usually critique Republicans for saying things like thoughts and prayers and those types of actions. So I'm actually surprised he said that. And it went pretty viral. It got 5.2 million views and 4.2 thousand likes. And yeah, the creepiest thing in the world, just smiling the whole time. Like, yeah, you want to maintain a positive attitude in life, but geez Louise, you're talking about one of the most tragic things to happen in your cities or shitties, well, years of history, and she's smiling the whole time like the Joker. Or Kamala Harris, equally, I would venture to say these gals, they are probably equally intelligent and beautiful and brilliant, actually, now that I think about it. And going to the comments, and they're mostly roasting her, pun intended. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, "Why the F are you smiling? Resign now," getting 23,000 likes, which is quite a ratio to say the least, because, again, she only got 4.2 thousand likes. Wall Street Maverick says, quote, "Smile of shame," getting 1.7 thousand likes. Tour Golf says, quote, "Karen, you dumbass, you suck. You got extremely ratioed at the post," getting 271 likes. Valentina Gomez says, quote, "Liar, you were in Africa when Los Angeles caught fire. You are useless," getting 2.8 thousand likes, which, again, is pretty bad optics, especially being out of the country like that. But again, I'm not sure maybe she'll say she's on humanitarian work or vacation. Again, Republicans do that too. Famously, Ted Cruz got roasted when he got to Cancun. So I'm not sure if that variable will be too much of a blowback in terms of her political career. Also, I mean, they are literally the party that says vote blue no matter who. I'm not sure how much at risk she really is at not, losing her job anytime soon. You also have Clown World saying, quote, "Why are you smiling? Are you guys out of touch? Unbelievable," getting 4.6 thousand likes. Colin Rugg says, quote, "There's no way you are the most qualified person in Los Angeles," getting 2.2 thousand likes. Now, a lot of people have also been critiquing her because she just happens to be an African-American woman. I believe she's also a lesbian. So there's a lot of people critiquing her for that. Not in terms of qualifications, mean, it's also politics. A lot of times, the most qualified person is not elected. And it happens on the right, too. Don't get me started. A lot of useless rhinos who, again, the fact that the NFA Act of 1934 still exists is a stain on the U.S. and just shows how pathetic a lot of rhinos and Republicans are. Again, it's been almost 100 years to repeal that crap, but I partially digress. Libercat Media TM says, quote, resign, you wicked witch, getting 367 likes. Let's see here. Now, Thug Life Lago, interesting name, says, quote, yes, in Cuba, where you were plotting against the U.S. What the heck? And then there's a picture of her, and it says, and I'm not intentionally trying to butcher her name necessarily, it says, quote, Veramos Brigadas organizer Karen Bass on one of her frequent trips to Cuba in 2011. It says, Joseph Vigal, a KGB-trained Cuban spy, expelled from the U.S. in 2003 for espionage, getting 2.2 thousand likes. Johnny Midnight says, quote, can you believe how happy she is here? All smiles about burning down the whole damn place. Just freaking unbelievable. And there's a picture of her, and it has some text saying, quote, diversity, equity, and inclusion have morphed into perversity, insanity, and delusion, getting 1.7 thousand likes. Let's see here. Greg has a screenshot of the libs of TikTok. Looks like a Facebook story. It says, fun fact, in 2014, California voters passed Prop 1, which directed billions of dollars for infrastructure to build water storage and reservoirs. Over 10 years later, and not a single reservoir had been completed yet. Getting 171 likes, which, again, I can't think of a state in the U.S. or the world that is more poorly or corrupt run than California. Again, Gavin Newsom, spent $25 billion combating homelessness, and they have nothing to show for it. The homeless rate didn't decrease, and they quite literally cannot tell you where the money went. I mean, the only thing more inept to that is the Pentagon, for Christ's sake. It's ridiculous. They've never passed an audit. But they get more money every year, of course. Scroll down more and more. Thug Life Lagos has a cartoon of Biden giving out foreign aid to the hose. Says, as much as you need. Come on, man, as much as you need. Foreign aid. Gotta protect the Ukraine. For reasons, Prisma. What? You also have the mayor of Los Angeles having a fire hose that's shooting a rainbow saying DEI. She says endless funding. Then you have the fireman, and tries to spray something with fire around him, and there's nothing left. Getting 2.9 thousand likes, which, again, this mayor also caught, I think she caught about $17 million from the firefighters or firemen's budget. And they spent a couple $100,000 on, I thought they called them trans cafes, which I didn't even know was a thing, but I guess that is in California. Marilyn Matter says it's you, and Karen, it should be posted by Define L's, or one of those accounts that points out hypocrisy. It's a tweet from Karen Bass from 2021, and she says, quote, Ted Cruz fleeing Texas in the middle of a deadly crisis is part of a larger pattern of GOP abandoning folks in crisis. We need to build a movement to kick them all out. Getting 1.2 thousand likes. Yeah. Not good. Not good look, not even being in the country, Karen. And granted, I mean, Ted Cruz is in Cancun. That's basically America Junior. Especially they don't own Mexico yet. But nevertheless, it got 1.2 thousand likes. Again, this is her account. It's not like this is coming from someone who's more politically leaning one way or the other. Well, she's leaning one way, of course. But yeah, it should be some folks of her party sticking up for her, giving her accolades, be like, great speech. Great job, Miss Bass. You did not make an ass of yourself. Oh, wait, she did. Going down more and more, some AI pictures generated of her hugging Gavin Newsom. Getting 14 to 25 likes throughout here. Yeah. So did an AI picture of her holding a sign that says they're probably going to vote me out. And it's with a picture of her standing in front of the burning Hollywood sign. That was specifically an account named by Run Dumb Lives saying you're going to resign, getting 171 likes, which, again, I don't think she will. I mean, Gavin Newsom has many ineptitudes under his career and many tragedies. It is very, very rare for politicians to actually resign. I mean, it's usually if it's only a very abhorrent, really bad, specific thing to do with them, like if they have an individual thing that they did. This one, yeah, there's a lot of, it's not an individual action that led to this, I believe. There are many variables, but yeah, because there's so many variables, I don't think there's going to be as much political blowback. And again, the people who vote for her are going to vote for her no matter what. I mean, I don't see her losing any ground. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe California will turn and they'll vote red tomorrow. I mean, pretty pessimistic. I mean, California as a whole, we saw a lot of those counties did, but the shitties, I mean, the cities, they still were very much blue when you look at the recent presidential election, district by district and city by city voting maps and the outcomes. But let me know, do you think, I mean, there will be any negative political ramifications? Will anyone in California getting voted out because of this, or primaried, or recalled? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Benchmark livesharp warranty, loses knives, and gives wrong ones back. Now, this comes from personal experience, and yeah, let's just say it was a really big milestone in my career when I actually bought the Benchmade Osborne carbon fiber knife. It's ridiculously overpriced for a knife. No one needs it. It's definitely 110% a luxury item, but it's very much a milestone in my technological career, or my building my tech company up, and when I get something to commemorate that moment. And one of the nice things about Benchmade was they have this livesharp warranty, where as long as you buy it, I mean, if you want to get it sharpened 100 times throughout your whole life, they'll do it for free. They'll even pay for the postage. It's a really great program, or it was. And I did use it about 2 years prior. And again, it took a little longer. It took a couple weeks. Granted, it's a free service, so, well, you pay for it in the purchase price, but it doesn't cost you any additional cost. So can't complain too much if it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get your knife back. It has to go all the way to Oregon and have those guys sharpen them on the benches and all that stuff, then ship it all the way back here. And the quality is always great. It's razor sharp by the time you get it back. Way better than any home sharpening I've ever tried before, with a myriad of materials, mind you. However, they're having more and more issues. And I'm not the only one, apparently, but we'll talk about myself today because, well, it is my show. Now, one of the biggest issues was the first time I called them, it took about 10 minutes to get someone on the phone. Let me backtrack that. First issue was I opened the box and it was the same model knife, but it was green, which normally I love green, love my green car, but it's not my knife. So I go, whoops, well, this isn't mine. And I look at the box number versus the order number, or rather because it's technically an invoice, but it's a $0 invoice. They print that out as well. Well, the orders were wrong, or rather the numbers were wrong. So I'm like, all right, I got someone else's knife. Clearly, let me call Benchmade and see if they can help me out. And I called them, no, wait, what was this? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Finally talked to someone. Took me a while. Called me, explained them the situation. Said, hey, I'm gonna, what's your email? I mean, I did email the company 3 days prior, didn't hear anything back, so the info at email address didn't do anything. So I asked for a specific email, sent her an email with pictures showing her, not just the original knife, because to Benchmade's credit, not they deserve much, but when you mail it to them, or rather when you do the program, you take a picture of your knife, then you send it to them. So they have a picture of the original knife you send in. Makes sense because of cases like this. So I sent her that picture as well as the pictures of the knife that I got and all how the papers didn't match. I said, hey, this means a lot to me. This is I know it's not all money in the world, but it has a great sentimental value to me. And she goes, yeah, I'm looking at the system. It doesn't look like your knife was mailed out to the other guy yet. So it might be in our warehouse, or it might be in our, we'll look for the inventory and get back to you by Wednesday. 1 day, 2 days. I understand they get busy. They got a lot of stuff on their plate. And Wednesday comes and goes, nothing. So I wait a couple more days, nothing. A week later, I call back. Takes me 10 minutes to get someone on the phone call again. And the most horrific thing happened that always seems to happen when it comes to customer support on the phone. So I call, wait 10 minutes, get to hold someone on the phone, and talk to a new gal. Again, this gal wasn't very polite. The first one was. But I say, hey, here's my issue. Here's my order numbers. Have you found my knife? You have any updates? I talked to, this. I'm not going to name the specific employees, because again, it's not necessarily their specific faults. And I talked to this gal. She goes, oh yeah, she's assigned to your case. Let me transfer you to her. Yeah, she did not in fact transfer me. She sent me to the 1-800. I call them pejoratively the 1-800 go to hell number, kind of the general helpline, which it's never expedient. I was on that line, so now because again I had no update, so literally it was on that line for 23 minutes, and then I got a hold of someone, a new guy. So I said, hey, please don't hang up. Here's my issue. I was transferred, but not really transferred. Here's my situation. Do you have any updates? And I sent him the documentation, showing the backstory, and he said, let me look in the system. Oh yeah, They said we're going to look for it. You know, what's your cell phone number? And again, I had already given them it prior, but I gave them my cell phone number again. And he said, yeah, you know, no worries. We're going to get this handled for you. And, you know, worst comes to worst, if we can't find it, you know, we'll send you a brand new knife, same model. And again, that'll be okay. But again, I'm overly sentimental. And to me, that knife means more to me than that value. And I said, you know, please just, you know, find my knife. I mean, they claim it's still they claim it's still there. They don't see any records of it shipping to this other individual. Also, Business Blunder on their end, they haven't given me a prepaid postage to send the green knife back. And I'm pretty sure that's someone's knife. It's clearly a used knife as part of the livesharp program. Because when I opened that box, it had that receipt. And yeah, it showed, yeah, the order was all wrong. And it's been 2 weeks now. And I'm surprised they didn't do that day one. Like, okay, topping, oh, thanks for bringing this to our attention. Here's the shipping label so you can send the green one back in. So you get that to the new owner. They really don't seem to give a darn about that. And the second guy also said, well, maybe it did get mailed out to the previous owner, but we'll reach out to him or her. So it seems like a lot of miscommunication, or really no communication at all. And again, this is a knife that costs, what was it, $300. It's ridiculous. It is a very expensive knife. You expect premium quality, and to the credit, if you ever get the knife delivered to you, you actually get your hands on a knife, they're pretty darn nice. I've never had an issue before, and it's always been, you know, my daily carry. I love it. It's one of the most convenient knives I've ever owned. It's a little trophy of mine, and it's been great. But you really can't get a hold of anyone when things go wrong. And again, it's been multiple weeks now, and there's really no solid update. They're really being wishy-washy about it. Again, some are saying that my knife was never sent out. Some are saying, well, maybe it was. And I have no idea who's in charge of that company. Well, I guess I do, because you can check on LinkedIn and stuff. But again, this is something that they really brag about in their marketing materials. They're like, hey, we have the livesharp warranty. You can send it to us. We'll sharpen it for free forever, which is great in theory. But you go to Reddit, you look at all these other, you know, a lot of anecdotal evidence of them either losing stuff or taking too long, which, I don't know, to me, when you buy a luxury product, is just unacceptable. I mean, after this, there's no way I would ever recommend anyone buy a Benchmade after this, especially if they want to actually count on the warranty. I mean, the warranty is not worth the paper is printed on. Not that these days you actually get things, you know, printed, but you know what I mean. I would just tell people, like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult to sharpen down your own, but take it to a local mom and pop shop, just pay a couple bucks for it. They'll sharpen it pretty good, because, again, I tried consumer grade, like, you know, just regular sharpening stones. And granted, it's not just my ineptitudes. I had a friend try to help me out as well. And yeah, I mean, it's a really tough steel, really tough hardened materials that they use over there, which is good. It usually means you don't have to sharpen it as much. But yeah, I just got to say, all this, and yeah, really, they haven't really given any solid next steps, remediation. So we'll see what happens if I ever actually get, I mean, again, I'm having to call them and now I spent what, almost an hour of my time on the phone trying to get hold of someone. And I usually only get the employees to chat with me for maybe 2 to 5 minutes, which, again, if you're customer service, I mean, you got to be Johnny on the spot. You should be picking up your phone, like, ring 2. I mean, that's one of the things where people talk smack about Amazon, and granted, they're not the best company for a myriad of reasons, but if you have an issue with the chat box or the phone, they'll get someone on the phone with you in minutes. Maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 at tops. This is 10 to 27 minutes or 10 to 23 minutes, depending on what day you call them. And the second time I called them, I was a 13th caller in line. So clearly they have some issues over there. So I gotta say, I mean, the quality of the knife's always top notch, you know, always a great material, but I gotta say the Benchmade livesharp warranty, gotta say that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.